Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about how I am revitalizing myself as an artist in my 40s and my 50s. If you're looking to expand or even start your art career in your 40s and 50s like I am, maybe these tips will help you too. These are ways that I have diversified my income streams, my ways of making art to keep me creating, less stressed, and motivated. Hi, my name is Courtney Pippin-Mathur. I am an author, an illustrator, a teacher, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So a little bit of background on me. I am an author and illustrator of picture books. My first book was published back in 2013. My sixth book is coming out this fall, but I have started to feel burnt out pretty ever since like around 2021. Every sketch that I did had to be something that I could share on social media. Every drawing that I finished had to be a narrative piece and tell a story because that's what you do in illustration. And every idea that I had in my head had to be turned into a story that I could possibly turn into a book idea. So I needed something else. Around 2022, I believe, my oldest went to college, and so I decided to get back into the job field. And of course, the perfect job for me was working retail at a bookstore. It was a small independent bookstore, and I absolutely loved it. But unfortunately, soon after I started, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness. And I worked through it and through taking medication and trying different types of medication, but I was exhausted. As soon as I would get home, I would just go straight to bed. And so that left absolutely no time for creating. Plus, I also felt this just pressure on me being in the book world to create more. Even though I loved all aspects of the book world, like working in the bookstore, of seeing early F&Gs and early arcs of picture books and middle grade and YA and adult books, and just shelving new releases, talking to customers, just discovering new authors that I loved, I just couldn't sustain it for too long. When I quit, I didn't want to just go back to working on illustration full time. So I knew I had to find something else. Now, does this mean that I am not going to illustrate and write picture books anymore? Absolutely not. In fact, these things that I've tried and I'm going to share with you have really helped revitalize me and just make me feel much more creative and motivated. The first thing that I did and I recommend is creating different types of art. I create illustrations on my iPad in Procreate, which I do love because I am a messy artist, and so it's very nice to have a way to where I can clean it up and to also try different types of media. But I wanted to create things that were in person, and messy. So about 2021, when I really was kind of bottoming out due to the pandemic and every other thing, I discovered Alisa Burke and started painting in my sketchbook with acrylics. And this was freeing because I wasn't showing anyone what I was painting. It was purely for myself. I could be as messy as I wanted. The art could just be art. It didn't have to be a narrative piece. It didn't have to be an idea for a story. It could just be a whole bunch of mushrooms or flowers or gnomes or whatever I wanted to draw. It was just a way for me to have fun like I was when I was a kid, when I was just creating, just for the sole purpose of to create. And eventually I started thinking, well, I would love to take that further. I want to create paintings on canvases or wood. But every time I tried to do something, I would just get stuck and I couldn't figure out how to go from illustration to this kind of painting that I want to create. So I decided to try different types of art. And I found an artist called Sarah Hand, and I will share her information below as well as Alyssa's information. And Sarah has these classes on creating paper mache as well as a book. And so I kind of fell in love with the paper mache. And I have created that little gnome right there and this little witch over here, which is kind of blurry that you can see. And once I started creating those, I was hooked. So in between working at the bookstore, starting about January of last year, I started making paper mache. And I started doing polymer clay as well, which I've shared before. So now I've started creating these other pieces of art, which I love, but I do have a very small space and I was running out of room to store things and I didn't know really what to do with these. And so I started thinking, well, maybe I can sell them. And so I had to find a different way to sell it. And my first idea was markets and fairs. So I had quit the bookstore full time. I had really started creating more of these, like gnomes and fairies and just paper mache things. And I didn't know much about the art market. But I started looking into YouTube because they have a lot of great creators on here who talk about how to create for markets and sell them. So I started watching and I got really into it. And I had my first market in October of last year. And the fact that it's in person makes it different and fun because I am in person now and all of my illustrations are not only created digitally, but I submit them to art directors and editors and even my agent online. So I don't have the real life interactions that you have. And especially post, the pandemic, it's just nice to be in person and talk to people. A fellow artist that I spoke to recently said it's both humbling and rewarding to do art markets and craft fairs, and that is so true. Humbling because people can walk by your table and just kind of give a look like that, and rewarding because sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll connect with someone who really gets you and your art, and that is just like the best feeling. At these markets, I sell hand painted things like my acrylic paintings on wood and canvas, which I'm still not totally where I want to be at. I also sell little paintings on wood for ornaments and things like that. And I sell my paper mache and polymer clay things. I sell prints of my illustrations, which are quite popular, and also stickers, which are very popular. And I love having stickers made for my drawings. It is just so fun to look at old illustrations and pull out the parts that I want to have stickers made out of, and also just to create a drawing without it having to be a narrative piece and with the idea that it can just be a sticker. So creating for these markets just freed up some of the pressure on myself. I mean, there's still pressure, right? Because you still have to create things that people want, and you have to even get into the market itself. And I've been waitlisted on quite a few markets, and I'm still learning how to set up my tent and my table so it's appealing so I can get into more markets. But it's new and it's a different way to create and share. And I also have the freedom to where I can choose to apply to whatever markets fit around my family schedule, which is a really great. Another different way to sell my other creations that I'm making is to sell it online. And I do have a shop on Etsy, but I don't have the gangbuster sales that some other creators do. I'm super thrilled to even get one sale a month, like truly, truly makes my day. And I just have a thrill from getting the order and packaging it up and writing a little note. It's wonderful and I absolutely love it, but I don't get it too often. So I'm trying to figure out how to get more sales. And I do know that around the holidays is when I get the most sales. And that's probably because of the things I create, the ornaments and things for the holidays. And it's also because I don't think I found my niche yet with people who will really love the polymer clay and the paper mache figures that I make. And I also think I need to advertise more. I'm researching SEOs, I've started a newsletter, and I am going to just continue to research in other ways to figure out how to have an online shop set up and how to have traffic go to it. I did pay for ads on Etsy, and it got me one sale and like did paid for a quarter of what I paid for the ads, so that was not worth it. So I'm going to try other things. Okay, and the third thing that I am trying to really kind of revitalize myself as an artist is to join a local art organization. I'm fortunate that I live in an area with a few art organizations, and I joined my local one, Delray Artisans, last year as soon as I left the bookstore. I had been a member of that when my kids were very small, but had kind of let the membership lapse through parenthood and illustration and things like that. But it is really cool. They have markets, exhibits, monthly meetings, workshops, programs, and it's a great way to meet other artists and to stay motivated to be around other people who create. My first art my first art market was through them, Hallow Weird, back in October, which really cemented the idea that I could do markets. And a really fun thing is that they also had a call for people to submit ideas for exhibits. And one of my ideas was chosen for March of this year. It's called Fairy Tales Around the World. And so I am learning how to curate an art show. I've never done anything like this before. It is completely out of my wheelhouse, and I am learning so many new things. Luckily, I have so much support from the organization, and they are helping me every step of the way. So far, I have created the postcard, and we put out the call for entries, and hopefully I can share the postcard soon. I used one of my illustrations for it, so it's kind of a good way to repurpose my art in other ways. The fourth thing is teaching. I have taught on a freelance basis for many years now. I've taught at art camps, upcycled art camps, after school art camps. I ran my own summer art camp for about 6 years where kids would make picture books in 1 week. I was a co-teacher at a preschool. I was also an after-school art instructor at a preschool. And then when I guess my second book, or maybe around when my second book was published, I started teaching adults about writing and illustrating picture books. I would do short sessions at the SCBWI, which is the Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And now I do longer classes for about 5 years through the Highlights Foundation about writing and illustrating picture books. I also do short mini classes through Highlights about things like Procreate and other income streams for artists. And I love helping students improve their skills and get closer to their goals. So I started a mentorship program. In addition to teaching online, I started it last fall. I kind of started it when someone had reached out to me last year, one of my former students, and asked if I would be interested in doing that. I was super excited, and we did it, and it was great. So then I started a full mentorship program for the first time last fall. and it has been wonderful. Each of these students, I've just really bonded with them, and it's been so great to watch how they have just grown and improved and are getting closer to their dreams. And I've also started thinking about other online teaching possibilities. We'll see how that goes. I'm just kind of looking into it, but I do think teaching is a great way to help keep you inspired if you can kind of control how much you teach, right? So do it on your schedule and you make sure that you have time to create. And also, if you can work in creating as you're teaching, that's a benefit. So number 5 is illustrating and writing. I have been doing this for 5 years now, and even though I was a little burnt out, I am starting to feel a lot more like I got my mojo back, and I'm getting new ideas again, and I want to have a lot more ideas sent to my agent for her to send out. And as another part of writing and illustrating is school visits. School visits are a big part of a lot of authors writing and illustrating, and I've never really focused as much on that as I should have. But this year I got invited to do my first multi-day author illustrator visit. I am super excited about, and I'll share more about that later. The end thing is that publishing is unpredictable. And for my mental health, I need other ways to diversify my skills, to diversify possible income streams, and to just keep creating and have fun as an artist. And please follow me along on this journey and let me know what you're thinking of if you're wanting to get back into art again as someone who is in their 40s or 50s. I'd love to hear from you.